Hello, we're back with our Bragg scenario fantasy of Barren Victory. This is the start of the 1600 turn, so it's the start of the Confederate phase. And at the end of the last video, I was feeling pretty discouraged about the Confederacy's chance to continue to make a fight of this, but now that I've had a chance to calm down and think about things, I think things are actually a lot better for the Confederate side than I thought at the end of the previous video. Just a quick rehash of basically where things stand. Up here, both of these units are wrecked, which means uh, normally a wrecked unit does not have a lot of resilience when it comes to its morale rolls. It's a lot more likely to end up having to retreat. However, this unit is still stacked with artillery, so it would continue to get that artillery bonus. Um, and then down here, both of these Union brigades are wrecked. This Confederate brigade here is wrecked. Robertson is one loss away from getting wrecked. Uh, and also these Union units, I should say, are also stacked with artillery, so they would continue to get that artillery bonus and making it not impossible, but more difficult for them to have to retreat. And then also Wilder's 3 counter brigade right here is also wrecked. And unlike these 2 units here, Wilder's brigade is not stacked with artillery. So one thing we're definitely going to want to do as Bragg is to have I think it's going to be Gracie's. Well, I don't know. I haven't made that decision yet, but to have it'll be one counter of, and you could actually do it with both, but one counter of Gracie's uh, extended brigade here to do a close combat on Wilder and try to drive him off the Lafayette Road once and hopefully for all. The other thing I want to try to do this turn is, as the Confederate, is to move up as much artillery as I can. Um, Now, for instance, none of these 3 spaces are in a Union zone of control, so that allows me to would allow me to move up my artillery into these hexes and then potentially fire on the Union Army during the following fire combat phase. Um, the other thing I need to be mindful of as the Confederate player is that Sheridan's division is moving up the Lafayette Road, and so I've decided to post Kelly's AB strength level brigade and this unit of artillery here. I think I'm going to try to place them here, hopefully extending the artillery into both hexes via a detachment, so that both halves of the brigade are resilient to having to retreat. I don't know if Kelly's brigade alone can, with artillery, can hold out against the entire division, but hopefully it can hold out long enough that the remaining brigades of Preston's division and that of Hood's are able to take control of the Lafayette Road down here. Um, of course, the other thing as the Confederate player, I need to anticipate is that Negley's division is rolling down the road here and is getting ready to take up positions along the Lafayette Road here. So let me start. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's go to our let's go to our sequence of play. So we're in the command phase. So do I, as the Confederate player, want to issue any new orders? No, I don't want to do that. I'm happy with the orders that Preston's division, they have the divisional goal that they have and that First Corps have. Um, I am going to roll when the initiative order determination phase arises. I am going to try to roll for initiative on Stuart, and the reason is right now Stuart is under orders to attack the Lafayette Road, the Union units on the Lafayette Road, and to try to take it. But actually, what I would like Stuart to do at this point would be to guard against any Union movement south along the Lafayette Road to try to reinforce this portion of the line. And this portion of the line, well, we'll see how things play out. But and the and right now Stuart's ability to do that is severely hampered by the fact that Bates's brigade here is wrecked, and so is very likely going to have to retreat during the fire combat phase unless I voluntarily move Bates' brigade out of the line of fire here. And so what I'd like to do is position Clayton's brigade, which is still in really good shape. I'd like to position Clayton's brigade where Bates's brigade is now to throw a zone of control into this hex and prevent any movement south along the Lafayette Road. That by itself won't prevent units from getting from the northern part of the Lafayette Road here from getting down south, but at least they won't be able to take they would not be able to take a direct route. Particularly King's brigade. I mean, even though King is wrecked himself, he does have 5 units of artillery with him. So if I could get King's brigade and more importantly that artillery down here, it still would prevent a formidable force for the Confederates to have to push aside, even while being wrecked because of if I could get the artillery to be stacked with King, that is, of course. So I would just like to I'd like to block the Lafayette Road if I possibly can. So we're not issuing new orders. I probably should have done this last turn and I didn't. We should be making core attack stoppage checks. So I apologize for not doing that more consistently. So let's do that now. Let's see. Core stoppage. Is it one of the... No, it's not it. Where is it here? Oh, here it is right here under orders and command. Okay. Oh yeah, core stoppage. Okay. So, okay. Oh, this is going to be interesting. So I need to check this for all of my divisions that are engaged here. So we'll go north to south. So first we'll check it for Stuart. Stuart has 3 brigades in his corps, and one of them, namely Bate, is wrecked. So 3 divisions in the corps, and one of them is wrecked. So that puts us on the 2 column here. So we need to roll a... Oh, and then we have to compare leader rating. I see. Stuart is a 4, so that puts us in this cell here. So I think we roll a 2d6, and I need to roll a 5 or more to continue the attack. And we rolled a 3. So actually, I think that forces me into a retreat. Let me just I failed the core stoppage check because I rolled a 3, so I'm just going to verify that. I know it forces me into a retreat, but I think it forces me into a um, what's called a voluntary retreat, which is actually pretty extreme. Let's see, core stoppage. Not seeing a table of contents entry for core stoppage. Oh, there it is right here. If he fails, the core must stop the attack and await new orders. The owning player may retreat the core for one turn if desired. After this free retreat, the core HQ may not move again until it receives new orders or executes an emergency retreat. So I would be eligible to do an emergency retreat, but I don't have to. So at this point, I just lose my attack orders. Well, this is one of those interesting questions that you have to ask yourself when you play the Civil War Brigade series. So Stuart has lost his attack orders, which in a sense is what I wanted him to do. But I'm awaiting new orders, so I should await new orders. Now the question is, do I have the latitude to take, not having orders at all, to take the step I imagined and reposition myself to try to hold this portion of the Lafayette Road and prevent the Union Army from moving south down the road. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, because if I can roll for initiative, then that will solve the problem. So that's our first core stoppage. Anyways, now we'll do it for Law. So Law has 2 brigades in his division, and one of them are wrecked. So that puts us on the 2 column. Law has a leader rating of 2. So that means we have to roll a 6 or higher on the 2d12. And we do. So Law passes. Not that he's going to be doing much attacking here. Now, the former Johnson's division has 3 brigades. Well, I'm not doing this right, am I? That's the number of division, and so this is core stoppage, not. Oh, that's right. So I did it right here because when a division has divisional goals, you essentially treat the division as a corps, and I believe, and treat the brigades as divisions, so to speak. But First Corps is under its own orders, so forget what I did with Law. I have to test the entire corps. So First Corps has 5 divisions in its corps. 1 of them are wrecked. So we're on this cell here, which puts us on the 1 column. And then Hood has a leader rating of 4. So I need to roll 3 or higher on the 2d6, and I do. So Hood's entire corps has passed. Now I need to roll for Preston. Preston has divisional. Well, actually, no. I'm rolling for Buckner. Preston does not have divisional orders. He's with Buckner. Buckner has orders. So Buckner has 6 divisions in his corps. 1 is wrecked, so that puts us on the 1 column. here, and then Buckner has a 1 rating, I think. Yeah, 1 rating. So I need to roll a 3 or higher on a 2d6 to pass. And I do. All right, so Buckner's core passes as well. So I've passed. I've resolved my core stoppage checks. Now we're going to roll for initiative on Stewart. So with a rating of 4, that means I need to roll a 9 or higher on a 2d6 to get initiative. And I don't. Okay. So I don't get initiative on Stewart. I don't have any orders in delay reduction, and I don't have any orders arriving this turn. So we're done with the command phase, and now we'll move on to the movement and close combat phase. And I can do this in any order I want to. So I think the first step will be to do my close combat on Wilder's brigade here. I don't want to attack this counter because it's bloodlusted, which means it would automatically pass its close combat morale check at -4. So I want to attack this counter. So my first movement of the movement and close combat phase will be for this hex to move here. I do need to meet command radius for this to be allowable. Obviously, I had enough movement points to move in there. And I am within command radius. And it does say explicitly in the rules that for purposes of tracing command radius for a close combat, I get to ignore any zone of control that's put into the hex I started the close combat from. So with that in mind, I do easily meet the command radius requirement. So now we'll do the close combat here. So we have actually I'm going to take that back because I moved the entire stack. I'm just doing it with the infantry. I'm leaving the artillery behind. I'm not allowed to bring artillery with me in a close combat, and it wouldn't do me any good, and because it's limbered. And I wouldn't be allowed to unlimber it during the close combat. So all right, so I've moved my infantry in. So now we do sort of simultaneous fire combat between the two units, and just between the units in this hex. These hexes are adjacent, and this one does have line of sight into this hex. This one doesn't because of its facing, but this unit is not allowed to participate in the close combat. Only the units in this hex do. And the same goes for this extended line here. It's not allowed to contribute to the close combat either. So what we'll do is we'll simultaneously fire without checking morale. First we'll do the defender's fire, B-level fire on Gracie. And Gracie's... Oh no, we're not checking morale at the moment. So let's just do the fire combat. Oops. So B-level fire combat here, but since Wilder has enhanced armaments, it's going to be 6 fire points. So we're rolling on this table here, and we rolled a 9. Pretty good roll. So that's 1.5, rounding up to 2, and then a 4 straggler. Oh, and we do need to know the morale rating to do the straggler. So B on the straggler table. We're on this chart here because the initial loss was 1.5 or more. So we're on B4. So 2 permanent, 1 straggler losses on Gracie. and we're ignoring the morale. So let's do that. Let's assess that now. So we're up here, so I need to go 1, 2, 3. So 2 permanent, 1 straggler. So that puts Gracie's brigade down to AB fire level. I'm just gonna put it here for now. I still get to fire when I do the union fire will still be at A level because this fire here is considered to be simultaneous, not sequential. So now I'll do A level fire at close combat, which is 8 on Wilder without checking morale. Roll a 4, not a great roll. So we're on the 8 column, roll a 4, so that's 1 permanent loss. Straggler result is 4. Oh, let's see, now Wilder is wrecked. Is that? No, that does not. Wilder's wreck status does not affect the straggler table. So we're on here. Wilder has a morale rating of A, rolled a 4. So just 1 loss for Wilder. So let's assess that. It's up here. Oh, so I need to put him there. All right, so now we do the close combat. So the first step is for Gracie to do a morale check at -6. And here's where Bragg really needs Gracie to hang on. So Gracie starts at B level. Let's just do a quick check of the modifiers. No modifiers apply. So we start at B. Well, here, let me roll the dice. So we'll just be paying attention to the black and yellow dice here. 45. So we start at B and go down 6 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 46 is shaken back 1. No, 45, but still shaken back 1. That is not the result that Bragg was looking for. So Gracie gets thrown back. And now Wilder does not have to check morale because Gracie, here I can put Gracie back on top here. Because Gracie did not pass his morale check. So that close combat is over. Now, however, I am allowed to take this counter, the other half of Gracie's brigade, and do the same thing, do a close combat. So we're going to try it again. So that's what we'll do, and we'll start the process all over again. So first, so we'll go back, so we'll do the simultaneous fire combat. This counter is still firing at B level, so B close combat in the parentheses is 6. So roll a 5 on the 6th column. That's a 1. Straggler roll is 6. With a morale level of B, so 6 is a 1. So 1 permanent, 1 straggler on Gracie again, and we're not checking morale right now. Oh yeah. And this is bad news because Gracie is now wrecked. And something I've done since the previous video, just to as a visual reference, is, let's see, one of Preston's brigades are now wrecked, and I also put an X next to Gracie just as an even better visual indicator that, about which brigades are wrecked. So that's not good for purposes of this close combat. I do get to fire a fire level, so it's going to be 8, I believe. Yeah, 8. Oh, yeah, it's still 8. This is 8. Oh no, it's B fire level. That's right. This one was already B. So it's actually 4. We're on the 4 table here, or 4 column. Roll the 3. So just a morale check. Oh, that's actually... Oh, but we're not... So there's no effect because we're doing a close combat. We're not checking morale. So this is a no effect result. We can check stragglers. I think we do... Oh no, we don't check stragglers unless we get a numerical result. So nothing happens there. So now we have to do the morale check again. And now, and this, well, let me explain why this has virtually no chance of working, because Gracie starts at B, goes down 6, puts us at E, but then because Gracie is also wrecked, we have to go down 4 more because that's the modifier for wrecked. And I think I misspoke in a video before. I think I said in a video before that when checking morale, like if the unit becomes wrecked during the close combat, that doesn't affect the morale results. I'm pretty sure that's wrong now. I think that's the whole point of doing, first just the simultaneous fire combat, and then after that checking morale, is that, if there's been a change in well, actually, I'm just gonna check one more time the close combat rules to see which morale modifiers are applied. I'm pretty sure wreck status applies. 23.1. Yeah, attacker checks morale at -6 plus any other applicable modifiers. So, yep. So which puts us on the very bottom row of the morale table here. So essentially, Gracie needs to roll a 22 or less on the morale check to stay in the hex and not have to retreat. Oh man, missed it by 1 at 23. So that's also a shaken and back 1. And did I put a shaken marker on here? No, so I need a couple of these. Just going to leave them here for now. Okay, well these units have both moved, and so they're done. I did not think that Wilder could possibly survive those two close combats, because when if Wilder ever had to roll for morale, Wilder would also be like down 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wilder would be rolling on the E row here, which basically means I would have a 50% chance of forcing him to retreat in the close combat. And so between the two close combats, there only would have been a 1 in 4 chance of not having to retreat as a result of one of the close combats. But of course, that calculation assumed that Gracie needed to not have to retreat himself. Okay, well, I'm just going to pause and think here about how I want to play this. I still get to fire during the fire combat phase, and Wilder would have to take a morale check with the wrecked modifier. So there's still a good chance of forcing him back. But what I really wanted to do was to force him back during the movement and close combat phase. So then, hopefully, a good result would possibly push him back a couple hexes, so that then during the so that especially on the first one, so that maybe I could have exploited it with the second one, but that didn't happen. So I guess my question now is, I think I'm done with the close combats on Wilder, because this counter again is bloodlusted, so there's very little chance of me forcing a retreat through close combating this hex. So let's see, I'm not going to move this. I'm not going to move Trigg's brigade here. And I am going to move, however, I am going to move Kelly. Oops. Where is Kelly? So Kelly is the second one. Okay. Because Kelly is the brigade I want to take over the southern defense of the defense of the southern portion of the Lafayette Road. So I'm going to move Kelly 1, 2, 3, 4, and I will change facing. How do I want it to face? I think that makes the most sense. So I have 4 movement points. Now I will extend. I should take my AB fire level counter with me. Where are you? Let's put them over here for a second. And I think the extension itself costs 1, but then since it's very narrow, but I'm judging that this is a clear hex, and I could have done it here too. Well, I could have done it here too, so it doesn't really matter. But for my last movement point, I will put the extension here, and then I don't, which one do I want to be the A? I don't know that it really matters. I'm going to make it this one. Boy, I don't like the flanking potential here. I really wanted to push Wilder out of there and take up a better position here to give some cover to Kelly's brigade here. But it is what it is. And then for my other move, I'm going to move this artillery. And it's starting out as limbered. So I get 7 movement points. So I can go 1, 2. Now I will extend do an artillery detachment as well. 3, 4, and then, so this one has 3, so maybe they both get a, anyways, they have 3 left, so they can both unlimber. And I have to do some, get some strength markers here. Or point markers. And we'll put the 2 here. And then we want the infantry stacked on top of the artillery. And I'm going to want to index that in a second. So let's see. So I put 2 here. So that means 3 go here. Okay, that's not getting complicated here. There we go. And now I want to index that extended line as 3PB. All right, so we're done with that. And let me just think about facing here one more time. I want I will, I'm going to do something different than what I've been doing in some previous videos and just use the arrow to do the facing. You can't, it's harder to do this on a physical copy of the game because there's no way to index the counters, but just to avoid any ambiguity here, I'm pointing at the vertex, not the hex side, I think. Well, I want this to indicate, hopefully this is good enough. What I intend is that these 3 hex sides here are the frontal hex sides of both the infantry unit and the artillery unit. I can more easily indicate that, I guess, with the artillery unit. All right, got it. I can't turn that. We'll put it the way we had it before. All right. So we've got that secured. I'm not moving him, so I'm done with Preston. Oh, I do want to move Preston. Preston does have to stack. Oh yeah, Preston has to stack with one of his brigades, and I need to make sure that... Ooh, hope I did this right. I need to maintain command radius. Well, if I move him here, I'm definitely maintaining command radius. I'm tracing command radius through an enemy zone of control, but that's okay since there's a unit here. And I guess just to... let me just make sure I've got this the way I want it before I move on. Yep. All right. So now I have some artillery, limbered artillery here that I can't do anything with because it's in a... I can't unlimber it because it's still in an enemy zone of control. But I can move this artillery into this hex for 2 and then unlimber it for 3. And I can do the same here, although there's going to be an extra step we take. Oh wait a minute. Oh, well, this one starts out as unlimbered, so I unlimber for 3. Then I move into the hex for actually a half, so that's 3.5. I do have enough points to movement points to unlimber, but since I would be unlimbering within 2 or less hexes of the enemy, and that's the enemy. Well, the enemy in this is the enemy in this hex. This unit is 2 hexes away. Oh, but it does have a front. I'm assuming. I guess let's see. Well, the way the counter is orientated. Well, it's extended. Yeah, I think this unit would have wanted to have its frontal hex sides for these 3. So actually, there's going to be a lot of fire come. Essentially, any enemy units 2 hexes or less get to roll, get to do fire combat into this hex, and these units are... That one is just checking the facing, but oh yeah. All right, so maybe I don't want to do this. This is awfully risky. Whoops. Oh, I mean, there's 5 there. I think I have to do it. Yeah, we're going to do it. So here we're rolling B, low ammo, and 3 artillery at range 2. So at range 2, B is 1. I think let me see how rounding works for low ammo. Oh, units marked as low ammo may not fire at range 2. And also have down 1 modifier for the morale table. I didn't know that. And have a back 1 column shift for any fire combats to which they contribute. So it's not that you have the fire points, but you just go 1 column back. Okay, interesting. All right. So there's no fire from the infantry, but there is fire from 3 artillery points at range 2 to 3. So that's 2 fire points coming out of this hex. And then there's B fire level at range 2. And the parenthetical value here is also 1. So that's a total of 3 fire points. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be. 3 fire points firing at right directly at this artillery. So we're on this column here. And we don't, and we do check for morale, but Greg will suffer any straggler. Greg's brigade will suffer any straggler and morale results as a result of this fire. So this could actually be a disaster for Greg if he's forced to retreat. But I think we got to do it as the Confederate player. So let's go for it. Oh yeah. So we rolled a 4. That's a half a result. Round down to nothing, to no losses, and a straggler roll of 1 with, pretty sure, well, let's just, as long as he's C or better, then there's not any stragglers either. He's a B. So no, so no gun losses and no stragglers. Wow, that's an outstanding result. And then a morale roll of, on the B, 13. That's actually a bloodlust. So he's actually bloodlusted. I did not expect that. Okay. You just never know in this game, which is why I like it. So, anyways, let's do things sequentially here. So, well, first things first. For the remaining 3 movement points, this artillery unlimbers. It will keep the facing that it has. We want him stacked at the bottom of the hex beneath the artillery. And then Gregg's brigade becomes bloodlusted as a result of that fire. Now, I have not moved Gregg's counter yet. I don't think I want a close combat there, and because of the very difficult to make him retreat with that artillery there. Much better to stay in this hex, I believe, and secure the artillery. So I'm not going to move this one, this brigade. I will move this artillery into this hex, so limbers for 3, moves here for 4, and then I think the artillery in this hex only gets 1 opportunity fire per phase. Is there a quick way for me to verify that? I seem to remember that. Let's see, artillery. Let's see, fire combat. I could have split it if I'd wanted to. Well, actually, I probably should look in 26.3. I'm not finding it off the very quickly. I believe I think I'm remembering that right. A given unit can only fire once for opportunity fire in a given phase. Um, so that means that, and I will. Oh, and then I have to, for the remaining 3 movement points, I can unlimber him and put him, and I want to change his facing to that. Seems to make more sense, at least at the moment. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then I will stack him at the bottom of the hex. Now, same question as I had for the previous hex. Do I want to advance him? No. And maybe I could just be a little bit more clear. See, if I advance, then I'm obviously removing line of sight from my artillery. And now that I have my artillery moved up, that artillery is eligible to fire directly at the Union artillery in these 2 hexes. So now I can, of course, the reverse holds as well. So now there's going to be a kind of pitched artillery battle here. They're going to try to wear each other down, and I should have an advantage here because I've got 15 strength points of artillery here. And I should be... Why? Oh, I just need to... I didn't do what I did before. I didn't put him at the bottom of the hex. Okay. All right, I've done all the movement I want to do here. Everybody is still in command radius. I should, this is what I like to have the leaders on top, just to, helps me remember to trace command radius if nothing else. Okay, now I need to make a decision about what to do here. Benning is wrecked, which means he can't close combat. That's a rule that wrecked brigades cannot close combat. Not that I would want to anyways. And of course, Heg will get the first, will be eligible for fire combat before Benning is. So now, of course, Heg has a lot of targets here to shoot at, but I guess this would be the best one since it's at range 1. And in fact, actually, he would be blocked from firing here, but he could fire here. The artillery can fire as well. Since there's actually just very little chance, I think, of Law surviving a morale result and staying in this hex anyways, my inclination is to move him back at least 1 hex. But am I opening a hole in my line by doing that? I don't think I am. And so I am going to I don't have this organized very well. So I'm going to move Benning and all the markers in the hex back 1 to there, just to not make it such an inviting target. Now, what to do about Robertson? Robertson is 1 loss away from becoming wrecked himself. I'm going to be optimistic and have him hold his position here, not move. I'm not going to do a close combat. So I've moved all my units down here. Now I'm going to make my hard decisions down here. So Stuart failed his initiative check, which means technically he does not have orders, which normally means you defend in place. So how do I interpret? So I'm Stuart. I guess the sort of the gray area in making these decisions is, what does the fact that Stuart failed his initiative roll mean? Does it mean that he doesn't see the danger here? Because if he doesn't see the danger, then in which case he would not redistribute his units to try to keep Heg in place, or King in place. I guess I'm going to play a real strict game and say that since Stuart has no orders, all he can really do is, well, thing is, like, defending in place, I mean, if I move like this brigade from here to here, I mean, I'm defending this hex, but then I'm giving up the defense of other hexes, which seems to contradict the idea of defending in place. So I think I'm just not going to move. So Stuart is bloodlusted. There's nothing in the rules that says that affects the decision like this. Although I think defending in place would include the idea of making a close combat to try to, the idea being sometimes the best defense is a good offense. That actually sounds more. I hope I'm not just rationalizing things on favor of the Confederate side, but well, I guess another thing to consider is I just lost. I had orders to attack, but I failed my core stoppage attack, so that makes me think that I should actually not. It's certainly not for this turn. I'm going to say just I have to stay in place this turn. Maybe I can reevaluate next turn, but since the division sort of failed in its will to continue the attack, I think the fairest thing to do from the perspective of the Union player would be to just defend in place, which is going to open up an opportunity for the, potentially at least, for the Union side, but that's the way things go. So I will not move any counters or any units in Stuart's division. So we're done with the close combat. Sorry, we're done with the, going back to our sequence of play here. So we're done with movement and close combat. There's no ammo resupply that the Confederacy needs to worry about, so we're done with that. So now we're at the fire combat phase. So I'm going to stop the video here because it's been a long video. Thank you for watching, and when I return with my next video, we will do the fire combat phase of the 1600 turn.